Let's see if Mike comes back on. How? Oh, friends. Okay. I don't know. He's got to come on. Let's see. Did we go over an hour? Is that why it was? Oh, I thought it gave you a warning when it came back. It didn't. All right. So let's see if we can get Mike back on here. All right. Oh, I changed the view somehow. Nope. Oop. Okay. How do I get that?
Flip it around.
View. Go live. Go like that?
Yeah. Flip it. There we go.
All right. We're just waiting for Mike. Hey, so I guess we went over an hour. I thought that it was going to warn us when it was almost an hour, but oops.
Yeah, so first it was zip disks, and then it was CDs, and then it was external hard drives. Now it's the cloud. And the thing is, it's like I never wanted to keep up with that shit. Like I'm not good at keeping up with technology.
Right.
And I don't want to. So so I still have and I love contact sheets, you know, like I love photography. And the thing is, the job of photographer became a computer job.
Yeah.
You know, it became a desk job where people spend all their time on the computer. And it's like, that's not why I became a photographer. I became a photographer because I love running around and taking pictures and talking to people and and creating things, not fucking, if I wanted to have a job sitting at a computer, I'd just get a job, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, just for me, you know, whatever. It was just never appealing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you remember, but way back in like 2003, that's when I started my agency because I didn't want to do digital. And I thought, well, I was a photo editor at Mass Appeal for a long time. And I thought, well, I love photographers. I can help photographers get work. And then I ended up getting one of the biggest jobs of my life. So I had to choose between doing the agency and then doing this job that went on for over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So as you know, those jobs come across your lap like never, ever.
Yeah.
I've had 2 such jobs, I think, in my life. So 3 giant ones in my entire career and 2 jobs like that went on for over a year. So
you must be an amazing photographer.
Yeah, thanks. So how do you, well, I think just, I won't keep you another full hour, but talk about, I think some people might be interested in some stories about some of the people you photographed, like you mentioned David Banner, you photographed MIA a lot. You posted something today with Alicia Keys, talk about sea murder in the lower Ninth Ward right before Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
So if there's any stories you want to share about who you photographed.
Well, I shot Sea Murder in 2000, either 2000 or 2001. Mm-hmm. That was the first feature I did for Double XL. And that was in the Calliope. And then I shot him again in 2005. Somehow he got out of jail. And talk about the Most Def one.
Yeah. And there was another question too from the last session that somebody had that was really good too. But
what was it?
Oh, she said, is your creative process change from shooting live shows to doing portraits?
I mean, the creative it's totally different. It's like a totally different animal. But on the same token, you're just trying to like do the best you can, and again with live shows, I mean, and again, it goes back to what I was saying about the school paper, like with live shows, you get the singer at the microphone when he's well lit in the spotlight. And then once you have that, then you go for, the fucking guitarist, going crazy or whatever, so that even if that doesn't work out, you got something that's serviceable,
Right.
And it's the same with portraits. It's the same with portraits. You could do like a simple headshot that's boring as fuck, but if nothing else works out, at least you have that, you know? But my approach was always like, I mean, to be honest, my goal was always I wanted to take the best picture of everybody that I took. Like with the Most Def picture, for instance.
Right.
Like, it wasn't in my mind at the time, but, you know, the idea is, like, when you take a picture of Jay-Z or Mos or MIA, whatever, you want that to be the picture when they pass away that is in the newspapers and in the magazines, you know? Like the Biggie with a crown picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Baron Claiborne.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's the picture you want. You don't always get it. It doesn't always work out because there's a lot of amazing photographers working, especially
and a lot of variables on shoots too.
Yeah, but that's the goal. You know, because why wouldn't you want it to be the best picture ever taken of that person, you know?
Right.
And, there's a lot of sirens here.
It's New York. It's okay.
But
this is what New York sounds like.
But the Most Def picture was interesting because that was in '98, you know, and I was there. I was like, the source had just started giving me little assignments, you know, like for little stories here and there, whatever. Nothing, no features, no portraits, you know, nothing
Right.
like that. I didn't have a portfolio. I'd never done a portrait of somebody. Like, you know how like a lot of photographers take pictures of their friends to build up their books?
Yeah, yeah.
I was taking pictures of like DMX and Mos Def and Slick Rick. Like, that was my training, you know?
Well, you hustled that. I mean, that's another thing when you talk about photographers like you and I are super hustlers.
Super hustlers. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
In a
Eminem
good
story.
way.
Like the Eminem story. Like, that wouldn't have come about if I hadn't just been like, hey, maybe you could let me shoot that, you know?
Yeah.
So with most, the Black Star album had just come out.
Yeah.
Or was just about to come out.
Which was huge. Huge.
Right. And I'd been shooting lyricist lounges.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Mos and Kweli. You know, I didn't know them, but I'd been around them, and, you know, we were familiar with each other's faces.
Right, right.
And so, and, you know, we were all young and just trying to figure it out and trying to get a footing in whatever, you know, industry we were choosing, you know? So, so I show up, I'm always early, never like, you know, earlier on time. And I show, and they had bought this bookstore, Nakiru Books in Brooklyn.
I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the assignment was to shoot them in front of the bookstore. Simple.
Right.
So I show up. I'm taking pictures like in the store, blah blah blah, whatever. What's up, Sammy? from Yellow Rat Bastard.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So
It's topical for our conversation.
yeah. So so I'm shooting. Time is going by. I'm not paying attention to the time, and then I'm like, huh, they should be here by now, right? So, and this is before cell phones. You know, I had a pager.
Yeah. Yeah, like how do you get a hold of an artist if they're late and you don't have a cell phone and you don't have, you know, you can't text them. You just have to wait. You sit there.
Yeah. So so I'm waiting, and then Kweli shows up. I'm like, okay, cool, you know, let's do this. And he sees that Mos isn't there, so he's like, I'm gonna go home. Just call me when he comes and I'll come back. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. You don't
So
ever
I
want
waited.
someone to leave set. That's not good.
Well, and the thing with Mos is like anybody that knows him, and it's the same to this day, like his concept of time is just different from,
Right.
like, he's not on the same, in the same time zone.
I've always been jealous of people like that. It's never been my role.
So 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 I'm waiting and waiting, and I call the photo editor, or the editor who's, you know, doing this page, and she was like, well, as long as you got a picture of the store, it's fine. We'll just run that.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, I want to.
No.
This is like an opportunity for me. Like, I want to shoot portraits.
Yeah, you never leave without getting what you want to get.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I'll just wait. And I didn't have anything else to do, you know? So I waited and waited and waited. Most shows up.
Right.
Call Quali comes, and then I do these pictures of them together, separately, blah, blah, blah. And the famous picture with the hoodie, there's only 2 pictures.
Yeah.
On the contact sheet. One where he's kind of looking away, the other where he's looking straight at me. And that's the other thing with him is, like, especially back then, like, his energy was like all over the place.
Right.
And of course, you know, the picture of the 2 of them in color ran in the magazine, but then I had this picture, and I always knew it was a great picture, but I didn't know it would be like this thing that would last for so long. And it's funny because a couple of years ago, I was with him in Paris, and we were talking about that picture. And I was like, yeah, you know, I've waited for hours. And I had that story in my book. So I was showing him the book, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And he goes, see, what probably happened was I think I was watching a movie, and I didn't want to stop watching the movie. And I'm like, okay. But it's like, that's the shit that we deal with, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But the moral of the story is, you know, you got to sort of put your ego to the side, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to just sort of, if you want to make it happen, you know? Like, either wait or don't wait. But if you don't wait, you're definitely not going to get a picture.
Well, from what you said, I think the crossroads in your story was when you were working at London Features, and you could have stayed with your $18,000 a year job, which back then was a decent entry-level job, and you're working in photos.
Yeah,
so that's
entry
cool,
level.
right?
Yeah.
You could have stayed there, and if they said, well, we don't want you taking photos and working for us, you could have said, oh, I'm afraid to lose my job, I'll stay with London Features and turn down photo, but you didn't. And to me, that choice kind of makes everything. You know?
I mean, I was insulted that they would even think that they could, because the thing is, like, I wasn't doing anything wrong, you know?
Right.
If I'd actually been selling my pictures and not their photographers, that'd be one thing. But I wasn't doing that at all. Like my pictures weren't even good at that point,
right.
you know? Like, I was just having fun. Like, I just wanted to go to concerts for free.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened to me was getting fired from that job.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and then just sort of deciding I'm gonna figure out how to make this happen. And that was the thing with hip hop. With hip hop for me was hip hop, especially then, I don't know about now, but hip hop rewards hustlers.
Right.
You know, like, if you hustle and if you show up, like, it didn't matter what I looked like,
right,
how I talked, how I dressed, whatever. Like, I always wore my hat, and, you know, I always had Adidas slides on, you know, and this was like this was the Tim's era. This was the Tim's era.
Yeah.
I have a picture.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a picture of me with cut off fatigues and Adidas slides shooting C Murder in the Calio.
Right.
You know, while everybody else is timmed out,
right.
you know, and, like, you know, FUBU. And I never did that. I was never that guy. That's just not who I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been a hip hop head, you know? So I would go into the source in my slides, and they would just make fun, like, and my hair was long. It was like, they called me surfer dude, and, you know, all this shit. I was just like, but it didn't matter, you know, because I came with the good pictures.
Right.
So I got respect because of that, you know, and I think I also got respect because I wasn't trying to be somebody that I wasn't.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, so the most deaf picture, because this has happened to me. Sometimes I'll take a picture and I'll know immediately, even on film, not digital. I'll know
Hmm.
immediately this is an amazing shot, even though it was on film and I don't get to see it. Did you
Yeah.
have that feeling with the most deaf picture, or did you see it later? Did
I
you
know
get?
I definitely had that feeling when I got the contact sheets.
Yeah,
And, that one picture jumps out and you're
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
that, like that could be in a magazine,
yeah.
like that sort of thing. But also, if Most hadn't become who he became, like, would it be as great of a picture? You know,
Right. Of course.
I mean, it would still be like a really strong portrait, but because of who he is and who he became, it gives it that much more, you know, uh,
Wait.
credibility or weight or
Yeah.
whatever.
Time really does decide whether or not your photography is going to last. And
Mhm.
for me, I wasn't quite as thoughtful as you were in terms of like, I had a lot of nags and slides, not a lot, but an amount that were lost and people lost. And I wasn't quite as protective as you were.
Oh, I
And
was crazy
and
about
it
it.
keeps me up at night. Like
Yeah.
seriously, sometimes I can't fall asleep because I'm like, where'd
Uh,
that slide go? I'll never know where it is.
yeah.
Is it it's in the trash somewhere in Staten Island. I have no idea
Wow.
where it is, right? But I did always, with my work, always have the thought in my head that I want to make sure my work ages well, which is
Right.
why I didn't want to do digital, because I just couldn't see how digital was going to age, because every single year we have a different type of digital camera and a
Right.
different way of seeing digitally. So it automatically makes the first digital, you know, um, you know,
Obsolete.
obsolete. Exactly. So that's why I, as much as possible, choose to shoot film, is because I feel like shooting on film will age my photographs properly. They'll have a place in history if they're shot
And
on
they
film.
exist. They exist. You
Yeah,
can touch them.
yeah.
You can file them. You can take them out. You can, go to the dark room if you can find a dark room. You know.
Yeah, they're tangible. They have a thickness to them. There's information in there. It's like a
Yeah.
painting kind of.
Hmm.
So one last question is you know, I think a lot of times photographers are accused of being culture vultures, or accused of like, just shooting the photo and getting the fuck out and all that kind of thing. And maybe talk a little bit about how you feel your relationship with some of your subjects, because I'm asking this because, while you were shooting Sea Murder in the lower ninth, in Louisiana, when Hurricane Katrina happened, you and I were working together at the time through my agency, and you called me and said that you wanted to do something to help people, the
Mm.
victims in Hurricane Katrina. So we figured out a way. I had some HTML skills. That's another thing that I had to learn HTML, because I didn't have the money to hire someone to do my website,
Right.
right? This
Right.
is like 2003, so I had to learn
Did we do
HTML.
like a print sale or something?
Yeah, we did like an art sale where we posted
Mm.
a bunch of, I
Mhm.
knew a lot of great artists and photographers, and we posted a bunch of people's photographic prints and art. And I think we raised about $7,000 for a couple of
Wow.
different charities.
That's
But
amazing.
I wanted to talk to you about how you feel about your subjects. When after you take the picture, because you've done personal shoots in Ghana, I know, and then in Central America as well,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I've been all over.
Can you
Uh,
talk about some of that kind of stuff, and like how you feel about your subjects and why you choose to spend your money to document people in different places?
I hate every one of them.
That's, not everybody understands sarcasm. So
I know.
someone's
Well,
going to
they,
log in and hear that and log
well,
right
they,
back out.
they can learn it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, like I just have a curious nature,
Hmm.
and like I went to Cuba for the first time in 2001, 2002, and
Hmm.
I was just like, what the, like, this is like, it was like a movie set, you know? Um, and especially when I was younger, I was way more, or I would say I was way less conscious of, the fact that people aren't there for me to take their picture. You know what I mean? Now I'm way more conscious of like, if I'm traveling. I mean, I always asked. I always showed my camera. You know, I was never a person to kind of steal a picture, you know, because people are living their lives, you know. And the thing is, with less wealthy countries, or in warm climates, people are out. You know, if you go to Europe, people are at home. If you go to the States, they're in their backyards or at home. You know, if you go to certain countries in Africa or South America, you know, like most people are out because most people don't have air conditioning. So people are on the street, and there's a lot more energy and more stuff going on. And I think it was the energy that attracted me more than anything, of just, and you know, like studying anthropology, it was more just like, there's just this natural curiosity for things that were not common to me.
Right.
You know, I grew up on Long Island, you know, I know about the suburbs, you know, I don't know about anything else. Like even when I went to the Cali up, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I was just shooting, you know, I was shooting kids, I was shooting the buildings, the cars, all that. You know, and this one guy came up to me and he was like, and C Murder's like giving $100 bills out and shit, you know. Yeah. And this one guy comes up to me, he's like, you know, if you weren't with C, you wouldn't get out of here with your equipment. Yeah. And I was like, if I wasn't with C, I wouldn't be here. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not stupid. But yeah, you know, it's like culture vulture, like all that, like you'd have to you know, I think too many people have too many opinions about what other people are doing, and you really have to ask who they are and what their motivation is. And you know, but as far as like people that I've shot, like, oh my God, like I fall in love with everybody. Yeah. You know, like whether it's like old men, little kids, you know, like whatever, like I feel so honored and blessed. Like when I was in Nepal, I took this one picture. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's this old woman standing on a mountain and going like this, right? And she's like climbing, you know, we all have our gear, and she's like climbing barefoot. And I remember while I took it, and I was using my Fuji, it's the best camera. Right. It's the Fuji medium format point and shoot with the pop-up flash. Yeah. It's the best travel camera. So I take the picture, and while I was taking it, I was thinking like, I can't believe I get to take this picture right now. Yeah. You know? And then after I took it, I was like, this shit better be in focus, and it better be, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like it better come out good, because it was like a once in a lifetime. It was like a magical thing. You know, so for me, it was like, I've always found it to be such an honor to, you know, like I was shooting orphans in Nepal, and then I sold prints to raise money to send back to them. And this was before the earthquake. Yeah. You know? And I think, you know, I don't really care what anybody says about anything, especially like not knowing their motivations or whatever. No, it wasn't the 645. It was, it's I don't even know what it is, but
it's a rangefinder, right?
It's a rangefinder, and it's basically a medium format point and shoot.
Well, this is great. You don't your favorite camera. You have no idea what it is. It's perfect.
No, I don't get bogged down in that stuff.
Cameras come out all the time. I've been shooting with the same cameras I shot with in '93. I shoot with Nikon FE2s, and people say, "Why don't you do this?" I'm like, "I'm good. I don't need anything else." Like, yeah, it's not about the equipment.
It's like it works. It works. Yeah. Like if it works for you, and if you're comfortable, and if you're happy, and if you like how it comes out,
it becomes a connection to your brain. Like I can shoot film more intuitively than I can shoot digital. Digital to me is very disturbing. But
I can't do digital.
Yeah, it's
like all the buttons and the dials. Like it's so
like
crazy.
It's like a Christmas tree. It lights up. It's very complicated. But
and then you're like. And then you're like, and then the client is like, can we see? And I'm like, no, you can't see. Yeah. You can see when I'm done.
But then the check has to clear, and you got the rent bill, so you got to show. Yeah.
Yeah, the GA, that's it. Exactly. So
Yay.
amazing.
But yeah, no, back to it's a really inexplicable honor to be able to photograph people. And photographers, I think we're all kind of loners and we travel. We like to travel. And I've traveled, flew to Bangkok for 48 hours just
Wow.
to go document a band playing live and then flew back on my own dime. And the
Wow.
movie hasn't come out yet. It never came out. So,
Wow.
but yeah, we all like to travel and we're all curious about people. And I think that it is an honor to be able to document someone's history, you know, someone's personal history and experience.
Yeah. Hold on. I have to plug my phone in.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, so that's my feeling about that. So maybe because this is going on a little longer than I anticipated, which by the way, as a documentary director, all my interviews go on a lot longer than I anticipate. But
Yeah.
I have one more general question and then I'll wind down. Something I wanted to ask earlier, what were some photographers that inspired you in the early 90s when you first started shooting?
I didn't know of any photographers. Like I said, I didn't know that it was a job. Like it was a career. But I will say this, the first photographer, I mean, I was inspired by pictures, you know, I just didn't know who did them. Like I didn't know who Jim Marshall was, but I knew all of his pictures.
Right.
You know? But the first photographer that I was really aware of that really like a light bulb went off in my head was, I went to this this gallery and they had a show up of Elliot Erwitt.
Okay.
And I was like, and you know, his pictures, they're serious, but they're also funny and they're lighthearted and he's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, wait a second, you can just be playful with picture. Like you could be playful and you can be taken seriously and you can be amazing. Like it doesn't have to be serious, you know, because before then I think I thought like a photographer is this. And when you are doing a portrait, it's, you know, it's like very serious. And when I saw that, it really just kind of like freed me up. Hold on. It just kind of like freed me up where I realized like, oh, there's a million different ways you can do this.
Right.
You know? And like I was never influenced by music photographers. It was always like Elliot Erwitt or Bruce Davidson or, you know, Sebastian Salgado, where it's just like, holy shit, like this is like, how do you do that? You know, like that is amazing, you know, like magic. It's like magic. Like, how were you there? Like, how are you?
Yeah, you want to know everything about how it happened. I used to sketch out compositions. I would look through, like, I loved Eugene Richards and Sally Mann, and these are photographers, right, you know, that people our age were inspired by.
Right.
And I would sketch out, I would look at something they did with composition, and then I would sketch it out. And then I would think, okay, I have a photo shoot with, like, Idina Menzel or something tomorrow. This is in the early 90s. So I would look at, like, a Sally Mann book and sketch out her composition and then think, how can I apply this to my shoot tomorrow, you know, and then make sketches of all the compositions that I wanted to try with my photo subject the next day, you know, like crazy.
I literally, of all the photo shoots I've done, I literally, there was one time where I thought about it beforehand.
Really?
What I wanted to do. I never ever, like, even with like, when I was shooting a lot for XXL, they would say like, first they would just send me places, which was great.
Yeah.
Nobody there. And, you know, I just did whatever I wanted. But then they asked me if I wanted to shoot ODB. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay, well, you have to come up with a concept. I'm like, concept? Like, I don't have a concept. You know, like like my brain just does, like, I think my brain thinks more in a documenting type way.
Yeah.
Like put someone in a random street and just take pictures.
Yeah.
And in a, you know, like setting a scene and building a set and all this stuff. Like and this was, I think 2002 or 3. It wasn't long after 9/11.
Right.
And I was trying to think of something that I knew wouldn't happen so that they would just let me just go meet them and take pictures, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, and I had walked past this, you know, one of those T-shirt stores on St. Mark's, and I saw that picture of John Lennon in front of the Statue of Liberty, you know, giving the peace sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll shoot him at the Statue of Liberty, you know, fully thinking like after 9/11, like there's no way this is going to be approved, you know?
Right.
And then like the next day or 2 days later, Sally called me.
The photo editor.
Yeah,
So,
the photo.
Berman,
And she goes, okay, so we're all set. We've got the permits for the Statue of Liberty. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. But yeah, no, it ended up working. But then I was like shooting him on the ferry going,
oh yeah,
you know, and it ended up working out great. But I was never one to really give. I'm not an overthinker. Let's just say.
yeah.
So
I'm definitely an overthinker. I think you probably know as much.
yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's better
all
to
kinds.
yeah.
But I distinctly remember when I started shooting professionally in the late 90s, well, mid to late 90s, is there was this kind of understanding that there were serious photographers and then not so serious photographers. And when I was in college in like 93, I would submit photos that I would take of hardcore bands at CBGBs, and my teachers would like scoff at them and say, this is point and shoot, this is crap. You know, and now these are some of the, you know, most well-loved photos I've ever taken. Yeah. But there was this distinct kind of difference between like crappy point and shoot photographers, like how a dad would photograph his family on the holiday, right? With a point and shoot camera, and then a serious photographer. Yeah. And in fact, do you remember, I don't think this was you, but I certainly did this. I would photograph portraits of artists with on a tripod all the time. I would put my camera on the tripod and photograph like Guru, right? We're all photographed with my camera on a tripod in a studio.
Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, because
that's what serious photographers do. No, I think I had a tripod. I don't think I ever, I know I never brought it to a shoot. I don't think I ever used it. Because even if I did, I would just take it off immediately and just, that was just my personality. But yeah, that was the thing. It was like we had this, you know, and it I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you are doing it. You know, and like I remember one of the first assignments I had for the source was to shoot this guy La the Dark Man. He was a Wu-Tang affiliate, and my roommate was an assistant, so he had the hot lights and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna set up lights in the living room and all this shit. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, so I set up these lights. And I took all these pictures, color slides, because that's what a magazine wants is color.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, let's just go up on the roof and do like one roll up there, black and white. And I got the film back, and since I had no idea what I was doing, all the stuff with the lights was awful. I mean, it was just
really.
It was like shadows and.
Yeah.
It's bouncing off of each. It was terrible. Everything was yellow.
Yeah, of course.
And then the one, because they were like tungsten lights and I was shooting, you know, like I didn't know anything. And then the one roll of black and white with natural light on the roof, fucking amazing.
Of course.
And I looked at it, I was like, oh shit, this looks like something that could be in a magazine. And then I was like, and I don't even think I gave them the color ones because it was just so bad.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the thing. It was like in my mind, if you're shooting for a magazine, you're supposed to do that, that, and that.
Yeah.
You know? And after that one day, I never, ever tried to do anything that like wasn't me, you know?
Yeah.
You know, unless it's an ad and you have 3 assistants and they're setting everything up and it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, it's smart. I don't think people realize how much pressure there is, even from magazines, which are generally pretty loose compared to ad agencies, but how much pressure there is on a photographer to get the shot, whatever that might mean. You know, like you said, you wanted to shoot slides because you were pretty sure they wanted a color photograph. But
Right.
But when you decided to do your own thing, it ended up making a better image. But
And that's what they printed, the black and white.
of course. But I feel like a lot of my shoots, you know, were, you know, I was thinking about what the client needed and wanted. And, you know, a lot of times if you would do a cover try, like if you were trying to get the cover of a magazine, you would leave all this empty space at the top of your frame so that they could put the masthead.
I never did that.
Or I did that all the time. And maybe I got one cover, you know?
No, I never did that because I just never thought of it. Like when I was shooting in the zone, like I just wasn't thinking, and they would always tell me like, make sure to leave room on the left, but I was always just trying to get the best picture.
Smart.
And the other thing is like, I've always heard that, you know, the most amateur thing you can do is have things centered, you know, have the subject centered.
Sure.
99.9% of my pictures, the subject is right in the center.
I center all the time too, of course.
Because that's what I want to do. And that's what my brain and my eyes tell me looks best when I'm looking through the viewfinder.
I think the lesson that if any, you know, beginning photographers or people just looking kind of for some photographic inspiration, the lesson is do what the fuck you want. It's not like, don't, if you're pressured by the client or the magazine, I mean, you obviously have to deliver what they want too, but make sure to get what you want also, because if you're pressured by the client or the magazine to get whatever they need, what's happening is what they want is within the trend now. But if you do what you want, you're going to set trends for the future. So
and also in order to get the job, you have to have something that sets you apart.
Yeah.
And also like my sort of superpower was always looking at people, like whether it's photo editors, art directors, whatever, and understanding that they were just people with jobs who didn't want to lose their job.
Right.
They were just people, and it's no disrespect to them.
No,
but
they're
just people with jobs, and like I'm trying to build my legacy.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. So, you know, you can't, you know, like I said, like you get the easy stuff first. You do the easy stuff first. You get like, okay, this is in focus. This can be printed, whatever. It's not great, but whatever. Right. And then you can go off, you know, and then you can try different angles. You could try someone jumping, whatever the fuck you want to do.
Right.
But as long as you got what they want. But also, when you're first starting out, nobody's hiring you anyway.
Yeah.
So who are you trying to impress? You should be trying to impress yourself.
Well, it goes right back to what we first started talking about. I mean, a huge reason, if not the entire reason, both of us are included in Contact High is because we were the photographers that would be hired to photograph the very, very small assignments in the hip hop magazines, like shooting the up and comers. And we got lucky because a lot of these up and comers became massive stars.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and when you're shooting up and comers, there's not a lot of, well, when you're shooting up and comers, they don't have a big entourage.
Nope.
They're marketing people from the label who need to, you know, approve this and that. You know, it's just like
it gives you the opportunity to be creative and actually work with the artist. Like, what ideas do you have? Okay, well, I like that. Let's try this together. You know, you can play around a lot more, and then those images end up being forever. They last forever. Yeah,
like when I shot MIA the first time, it was for Herb. It was for the cover, and they were like, "Hey, can you shoot this girl MIA?" I'm like, "Sure." For the cover, I was like, "For the cover? I never shot a cover before."
Yeah.
You know, no, actually I had, but not for Herb. So I was like, "Yeah." So we used my friend's loft in Williamsburg, and you know the picture with the boombox.
Yeah.
And that boombox was just in my friend's loft. And it was like falling apart. So we took gaffer's tape and taped it together. And I was like, can I use this for a picture? Took it up on the roof and just did it, you know? And she dressed herself and, you know, it was just a makeup artist.
Right.
It was great.
And it's like that image will live forever and ever because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Side note, my cell phone is gaff taped to my laptop right now to do this interview. So
Oh,
gaff tape is
I'm official. I have a little tripod
oh,
that I
nice.
just got. It's amazing.
You use a tripod for your phone, but not for your photos.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So one last question is, so you don't really shoot much digital, if any, and so how have you been able to, are you still working as a photographer? How have you been able to traverse all of this kind of stuff?
No, I haven't really been working as a photographer. I've been making money doing other things, all legal.
Good.
But yeah, no, you know, it's like, you know, after 2008, when, you know, places just disappeared, you know, magazines disappeared and ad agencies weren't hiring, and the magazines that still were around, you know, they went from 4 features to 1 feature and from $2,000 to $500. And it's just like, this is stupid, you know? So, and, you know, also like I got tired of, like, I was never good at digital marketing, like email marketing and like all that stuff. And just trying to like, it's just not for me, you know? So I just figured out other ways. But what else was I gonna say? Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, it's just, and then, you know, it's like, oh, and you have to do video also. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And like this one job I was up for this really big company, like a huge company, you know, shooting like the placards that they have in their stores of like, you know, this is the basketball section or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And they actually, you know, the art department of the ad agency loved my work, loved me, blah, blah, blah. But then when it went to the client, they said, well, because, you know, most of the people that I've shot have been people of color.
Yeah.
So they said, well, does he know how to shoot white people?
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? I don't need to do this shit anymore because this is insane. You know, like I don't want to have to impress imbeciles, you know? And obviously not everybody's like that, but it's just like, man, fuck all these people, you know? Seriously. And like, and there's no respect, you know? It was like, we're going to pay you half and ask for twice as much work.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It got crazy after 2008 because I was shooting a lot for catalogs and they went away slowly. They're kind of making a comeback, but you know,
everything went to websites.
Magazines wouldn't take risks anymore at all. But before 2008, you could have a whole entire feature about something really fucking cool that wasn't making money, like, you know, portraits of people in Ghana or whatever, you know. But they couldn't take risks anymore after that, and all of those really beautiful features went away. So yeah, I hung on a lot longer than you and got into video and all that kind of stuff. But that's for a conversation for another time. But is there anything else that you want to add? I'm gonna let you go because it's kind of late over there.
No, I'm good. I thought it was a good conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. It's the first interview I've ever done on Instagram Live, and I'm going to do some more. So I'm actually going to interview incredible New York City documentary photographer Matt Weber next week. So
get caught in his web.
Yeah, he's awesome. He used to be a cab driver. He was a cab driver and took photos while he was driving a cab in the 70s and 80s. So
that's amazing.
Very cool. But thank you to everyone who watched. thank you, Contact High. And
Wait, Contact High was here the whole time?
the whole time for both segments.
They were probably doing like cooking food or something.
I
They
know.
weren't paying attention.
But yeah, I appreciate it. And, you know, again, Mike has amazing stuff for sale on his Big Cartel store. The Woodstock 99 zine is really cool. It's huge. I also have stuff for sale on my Big Cartel. So I guess that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good evening.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.